What is a construction logistics plan? Amateurs study tactics, armchair generals study strategy, but real generals, the experts, study logistics. Would you like to know how to 10x your logistics game and have a made-ready list of all of the things that you can include in your planning? And would you like to know the keys to using it properly? If so, you're going to love this video. So let's start out with, what is a construction logistics plan? Well, I'll tell you. It is a comprehensive logistics strategy that includes key tactics for logistical planning of a construction project in 4 main categories. Number 1, your supply chain and the management of it. Number 2, your on-site logistics and the transportation of materials. Number 3, how those logistics in the supply chain interact with your customer and neighbors. And number 4, levels of inventory and transportation decision making. Your logistics plan is going to incorporate all of those considerations. Really, how your supply chain delivers materials, how your supply chain takes materials from the point of receipt to the place of work, how that logistical system takes care of the neighbors and the client, and how much inventory from a material standpoint is kept on site and how is it managed. So logistics plans are used for receiving materials and people, staging materials, transporting materials and people, accessing work with people and materials, and don't forget doing all of that while taking care of and supporting our people so they have a remarkable experience. So this plan is a visual representation of how you're going to manage, again, that supply chain, the logistics on site, the public interface, and the staging of materials, right? So this is a visual plan that can be done by hand. It can be done in Excel. It can be done in Bluebeam or in any other PDF program. It can be done in AutoCAD. It can be done in Revit. It can be done in 3D. However, the key is that you visually represent it. Also, you can do this out of styrofoam with styrofoam cutters and glue and printouts and foam core board, and actually build your own 3D model of it on site in your project conference room. Just lay it right there on the table and point to it when you're talking to your trade partners. That's actually pretty remarkable. I'll link you to some supply lists that you can use if you want to do that. But there are 6 key types of logistics plans that I want to encourage you to make. And here are all 6. Number 1, your safety plan. So this logistics plan will show the entire site, the plan view of the entire site, either in 2D or 3D, and show where your emergency gathering point is going to be, where your fire extinguishers will be, where your AEDs will be. Anything that deals with safety, including access and egress points, will be included on this plan. Number 2, your general signage plan. This is going to be the plan where you actually outline how workers and foremen are going to come into the project site, how deliveries are going to be made, how pedestrians and motorists will interact with your project site, and how general information is shared through signage and wayfinding. This must be intentionally designed, and it has to be clear so that everyone knows where they're going. So this will be planned on that logistics plan map. Number 3, mobilization, make ready, and foundations. So your project site will look different in its early phases than it will be when you're putting up the exterior. So you need to plan your logistics based on that phase. So your early make ready, your early foundations, when you're first coming to the project site, right? You're going to have a lot of demo, a lot of dumpsters. You're going to consider things like concrete washouts, the access of the pump where you're going to stage rebar. This phase of the project looks a lot different than the other phases, so it will get its own logistics plan. Number 4, superstructure. In this plan, you might have a slick line. You might have different pump locations. You might have wall racks where the crane sets down your wall formwork and stages it there until you do your next round of cast in place walls. This phase will look very different. It will look very crane heavy. If it's steel or concrete, right? If it has concrete in the structure, it will deal with reinforcing, it will deal with formwork, it will deal with concrete placing. It will need to get your workers and foremen to the place of work and to receipt of materials in and around the actual structure, the placements, and all of the reshores and any of the formwork that's going up, and any of the staging of the formwork or the structural steel. So this phase will look a lot different than the others and will deserve its own logistics plan. Number 5, the exterior skin and interiors phase, right? So this phase will typically have its own hoist. This phase will focus on the construction of the exterior. This will be very heavy when it comes to exterior access and the point of entry of people and materials for the interiors, and it will need its own logistics plan. And number 6, site work and closeout. This is when you're exiting the building, you're finishing things up, you're closing areas down, now you're working on the site, so the exterior better be done. And the phasing of this will look very different, especially if you have a phase turnover and if you have to plan for access for anybody that might be mobilizing furniture in the building or doing any other kind of testing or services for the owner. So it will get its own logistics plan. And so I've never seen a project really use these maps well unless they had all 6 of those, because you at least have the 4 phases and you have to detail your signage and you have to detail your safety requirements. Those should all be live files, either, like I said, in Bluebeam or by hand or in some format where the superintendent can access it. I highly recommend doing it in Bluebeam or Canva. That way the superintendent can make real-time adjustments or have somebody that supports the superintendent in updating. But those should always be linked to a live file that all workers and foremen can access, and they're printed up in the conference rooms and they're printed out for the huddle boards in the huddle areas so that everybody knows where they're going. I'm looking for visual signage like an airport. Everyone should know where things belong, where they're going, and how you're going to stage materials and equipment. Because really, productivity doesn't just come from the production rate of the crew. It doesn't just come from the speed of the crew. It also comes from the ability of the crew to receive and install materials. So if we can get this stuff to the place of install, the workers and foremen can build it. This is the purpose of these plans. So here are 6 quick tips for these as we go along. Number 1, keep them updated. Do not have static information anywhere on the job site. Number 2, use them to actually plan material staging. So if you in your huddle areas or your conference room have a piece of plexiglass over your logistics map, or you have it up virtually on the TV and you can real-time plan these things, you will ask, hey, what material is coming? Where does it go? When does it arrive? And you will coordinate it on that actual map, whether it's virtually or it's actually on that plexiglass or glass covering in the conference room. Once you know the coordinated location that will prevent movement, or like I said, the movement multiple times of that material, that then needs to go in picture form or document form to the forklift operator, hoist operator, and crane operator, so that they, as your deputy sheriffs, can make sure that it gets to the place that was coordinated the first time. Number 3, synchronize all of these points of entry with the delivery schedule. If you have multiple gates, those multiple gates must be on that delivery schedule. Number 4, make sure that the hoist operator, the forklift operator, and the crane operator can always see the plan that you've coordinated real time. Number 5, use these maps and these plans in your huddles to make sure that these locations are coordinated daily. And number 6, make sure everybody on site can see these plans. So here, just real quick before I go into the things that you should include in the logistics plan, here are 3 things that you can't do. You can't just make a logistics plan and be like, I got one, check the box, and never use it again and be successful. You can't ignore all 6 types of logistics plan and just do one, because then you'll ignore signage or safety or any of the different phases, which will look much differently. And 3, you can't just keep this in a static copy either on the wall or in the computer. It needs to be updated. Do not freeze it in time. Do not have it be some separate thing that nobody uses. Make sure the team is using it and that it is an effective tool. So here we're gonna go fast. Do you wanna know what's included in the logistics plan? I'm gonna tell you. Let's go through it right now. Area control, clear access ways, the general site configuration and design, the flow of deliveries through the site, traffic patterns and how the site will interact with traffic through traffic control and signage, pedestrian patterns and how pedestrians will move through and past and next to your project site with the right signage design, site security, new utility construction and how that interfaces with logistical structures, equipment mobilization and demobilization for things like big cranes, loading platforms on the project, locations of concrete pumps and slick lines, placing booms, concrete washouts, the hoist, your cranes, any equipment staging, the general flow of construction, entrances to the project site, and I will we'll remind you need 2. Your trailer location with trade partner offices. Your dumpster location, temporary restrooms and how you'll care for them. Your material laydown, your fire lane, temp water and temp power locations. Your parking lot, especially for worker parking. The location of your temp fence. Any site signage, emergency gathering areas, and any considerations when it comes to disaster planning. So all of these components will be shown in your logistics plan throughout all of those different phases. We really want to curate a beautiful experience for all of the people on site. It's absolutely amazing when this works well. And I'd also like to hear if you have any that you want to add. Were there any that surprised you? Are there any that I forgot? Is there anything that would round out that list? I would love to know. And to make this easier, I'm going to give you not only a template Bluebeam file, but the toolbox and representative examples and lists that you can use to really design a remarkable logistics system on your project site. And some bonus content, the key rules to logistics that will help you in your planning, all in the description below. I hope you love that free content, and I hope you can 10x your logistics game by implementing the concepts in this video. On we go.